Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. There's still time, the AFTN Soccer Show. I'm your host, Michael McCall, and we're bringing you a special 2 episodes this week of the podcast, because there's just so much to talk about at the moment. We've already brought out a 3-hour show on Monday. This one is going to be, 2.5 hours probably. And I'm even cutting some stuff out of that and saving that for future shows as well. We're going to be talking Whitecaps, Dallas in the MLS playoffs. We're going to be talking Canadian Premier League in the regular season that wrapped up this past weekend, and the playoffs for that's already got underway and will be in full force this coming weekend. Zach will be joining me in part 2 to talk about that. And we've got a couple of interviews to bring you this show as well. I sit down for a quick chat with Whitecaps winger Jayden Nelson ahead of his first playoff campaign for the club and in MLS in general. We'll talk about that when we speak to Jayden in this part. And then in part 3, we sit down to one of the stalwarts of Forge FC and their legacy and their success since the CPL started in 2019. 7 seasons, 7 trophies won, either the overall championship or the regular season, and we'll be sitting down to chat with Forge's Swedish centre-back stroke midfielder Alexander Achinioti-Jönsson. We'll have some fun music along the way as well, and in this part we'll also bring you some audio to set up that exciting Whitecaps Dallas playoff series. The MLS playoffs got underway on Wednesday night. Chicago dispatched Orlando pretty easily, really, out in the East. So Berhalter Sr. getting through to have a match-up best-of-3 series with Supporter Shield winners Philadelphia Union. Orlando just were terrible in that game, and since that late comeback from the Whitecaps, they've just plummeted and been in free fall, and that's their season now done and dusted. RSL, their season is now over. Despite having a very strong second half down in Portland, they couldn't do enough to get back into the game. They trailed 2-0, they made it 2-1, they went down 3-1, they just couldn't get an answer. They were really knocking on the door at 2-1. They had a goal disallowed, some fantastic saves by James Pantemis in the Portland net. And I tell you, he really has kind of established himself as the number one for Portland there. We've chatted so much this year about the battle of the 2 Canadians down in Portland, how we feel Phil Neville just doesn't actually know who his number one is. I think on this performance and the fact that Pantemis got the start in the playoffs, as he did last year, although it didn't go so well last year against the Whitecaps, I think we can be pretty confident now in saying Pantemis is seen as the number one, and that Max Crepeau will surely now be moving on at the end of this year. A return to Montreal, maybe? That's what some of the Montreal fans have been calling for this week. But that sets up an interesting matchup between Portland and San Diego, and Portland definitely has the ability to go and shock San Diego. And from a Whitecaps point of view, if you're looking ahead to possibly a Western Conference final, You knock off the number 1 seed in the West, and then the Whitecaps would be hosting that if they got to it. So I think all Whitecaps fans should temporarily, at least in this series, be cheering on the Timbers. But of course, the series that we are all interested in, that we're going to talk about in this part of the podcast, the Whitecaps get their 2025 playoffs underway against FC Dallas. It's a rematch of the game that just played out on Saturday. We won't touch on that too much. I genuinely don't think there's too much the Whitecaps can take from that game at all, good or bad. Playing for 80 minutes, down a man, dominating, just unable to score. Fantastic defending from Dallas, great goalkeeping, throwing everything at it to keep the Whitecaps out. Don't feel that is sustainable for a best of 3 series, and we talked enough about that in the weekend show. So we'll just kind of look ahead now for what might be to come in this best of 3 series. First game, BC plays on Sunday afternoon. A crowd of over 30,000 expected. I think it could get to about 32 to 33. That's kind of where ticket indications are trending right now. And the Whitecaps definitely will have a fire lit under them after how that played out at the weekend. And they should be going into this confident. I think they're going into this pretty much everyone's favourite to come out of it with the victory and move on into the semi-finals. Everyone seems to be assuming it's going to be a Whitecaps LAFC semi-final. So many of the pundits this week from the stuff that I've watched tipping LAFC to win that as well. So it's an interesting scenario for the number 2 seeded Whitecaps. They're going into this Dallas series, big favourites. But if it is LAFC, they seem to be going into that as the underdogs, which kind of suits them. And it's something that carried them along very well in their CONCACAF Champions Cup run earlier this year. And funnily enough, the meeting down in Dallas between the two teams back in March came after one of those big successes for the Whitecaps, the draw with Monterrey down in Mexico. Headed to Dallas just a few days later, came away with a 1-0 win, Tristan Blackman getting the goal in that one. And they should be strong enough to get through this series, but there's no complacency. There's not taking anything for granted. And you could delve into previous meetings, how well the Whitecaps have travelled down there, how well Dallas have travelled up to here. But I mean, A, it's playoff time, and B, this is a very different Whitecaps side to what we've had in previous years. So I don't think previous history can even be looked at. We've just got to look at what both teams have done this year, how much form both teams are in going into this one. And it's important because it's the best of 3 series. And just a couple of interesting little tidbits that were on the MLS website today. Over the past 2 seasons, when the best of 3 series has kicked in, home teams have won 27 of the 39 games played, so 69%. So home field advantage is a big thing in these series. Last year, 75% of games in these best of 3 series were decided by 1 goal or less, with 8 of those games going at penalty kicks. And that is something the Whitecaps really want to avoid, because they're going to be favourites over the 90 minutes. As soon as you get to penalties, it's a complete lottery, and Dallas very much in the mix then. Also, it's interesting to note that no higher seeded team has lost game 1 and then gone on to advance out of round 1. In fact, all 3 times that the higher seed has lost game 1s, the teams were eliminated in the second game. Never even got to game 3. So these are the things the Whitecaps have to not think about, because you don't think about anything like that going into the game, but just be aware of. And I think everyone is, as to how important this first game of the series is. So let's just hear a little bit now from both head coaches, and we'll kick things off by hearing from Whitecaps head coach Jesper Sorensen with some of his thoughts from his media press conference on Wednesday.
You just saw this team a few days ago. What kind of adjustments or learnings do you see your team needing to make in order to get an advantage in game 1?
Yeah, I think it's we're up against a Dallas team that has performed well over the last part of the season, and also did the other day. I think it was a game where it's you sometimes overreact a little bit to things in certain situations, and I think that it was special that we played for almost the entirety of the game 10 against 11. That would definitely be a thing that we have to adjust, but that's not something that you can just. It's not usual, and it does not normally happen. And then, of course, we saw also what Dallas is capable of, and how they play well, and they had a good strategy and was well structured. And we just have to be, well prepared. And then we've been, since we lost to Colorado, we haven't lost games where we played 11v11. So that's a long time ago, and we have confidence, and we should have. But it was also nice that we also saw that if we make mistakes, then we are not. Then it can be difficult against everybody, and they were good at taking advantage of some of the mistakes we made.
Jesper, you limited them to just 37% shot percentage, possession-wise. They had 9 shots, but 7 were on target. What concerns you about that? And would you like to tighten things up a little bit with the over-the-top long ball? But they seem to have no problems getting through to you.
Yeah, that was some of the things that they had a couple of open chances. I was really not happy with the one they had in the end of the first half, because that was even though we played 10 against 11, that was a little bit immature the way we. Yeah, just before halftime, did not defend well. Normally, when you play 10 against 11, you cannot limit your opponents to not having some shots on target, and it's more or less it's also where the shots are from. I think the last one before halftime is the one we have to avoid, and then of course they came to a couple of other situations where I would have liked us to do better, but we know that they are strong in counter-attack moments, and we have to also be able to be well prepared for those moments also when we have the ball, and we will. But you can prepare on everything in football. That's also part of it, and you also make mistakes, and some of the smartest people in the world also made a lot of mistakes, but they learned from them, and then they try to correct it.
Jesper, this is a team that has exceeded expectations virtually all season. Now expectations are high going into the playoffs. How do you coach your players to manage those expectations going into what you hope is a long playoff run? Yeah. The playoffs is the first time for me as a coach, but we tried some similar things in the Champions Cup and also in the Cup tournament, where the margin of errors you can allow yourself is not big. You have to play not perfect, definitely not, but you have to be able to take advantage of situations. It's a few situations that decides a game normally, and it can be up to a couple of situations that's going to decide the games in the playoffs. So we would rather be a team where you have expectations, because it will mean that we've showed that we have quality, and it will show that we have been performing well, than being a team without expectations and then over performing. We have to accept that people will hold us, accountable for the results we can create here in the playoffs. But the reason they do it is because of what we have shown throughout the season. So I think that's where we've come with this team, and of course in the playoffs we'll have to live up to it. So you approach the other wrinkle to this is that it's a 3-game series, best of 3 series. So do you approach it like it's a cup tournament?
We approach it like we would try to prepare for winning each game as they come. And I think that's obviously a thing. Of course, we practice penalties throughout. We know how the system works with a draw, and then you go directly in the first round and shoot penalties. And of course, we're going to practice that as well. I think every team will do that, and we'll just prepare. It's all about preparation, and then you have done your work, and then you have to execute when you're on the pitch. And again, the margin for errors is not big in games like this. But on the other hand, we should not be afraid either to play the way we would like to play. That's what has brought us here. That's why there's expectations to us, and that's what we have to continue doing.
Thomas mentioned on Saturday after the match about sometimes he feels the team just needs a pinch or a kick, and it takes some adversity or going behind for them to kind of really show who they are. And it has kind of felt like that at times this year, but you've always done so well with it. You've come back. I think everyone, when you fall behind, feels you've got what it takes to suddenly come back. But what do you think is behind that mentality that sometimes you just do need a little kick to get things going?
Yeah, I think we got out to a good start in this game. I didn't see that they were close to our goal until Matthias got shown a red card. I think that was okay. Then we got a little nervous and made some stupid decisions. I think maybe a little passive, and then they scored. And then of course it's also easier when you're behind just to let go sometimes. Yeah, I think we found a good mix in general, but sometimes you need this extra to let everything loose. But in general, I think that we have been able to push the pace high, and we've been able to throughout the game, also tiring out our opponents. That's what we've seen. We've been very strong in late games, and I think the reason has been that we've not wasted too much time. And then it's right. Sometimes when you're behind, then you give a little bit. You get loose of some of the things that maybe you're worried about, because now you have to go. Otherwise you're going to lose anyways. But it's not football is a game of balance, and you have to maintain that balance. Also, we would rather get ahead than get behind. But the good thing is, if we get behind, then we're able to and capable of responding. So that's very good. But we would like to get ahead, like we did in a couple of other games. And then hopefully build from there.
You touched on the Champions Cup run, and there's so many things you can take from that into these playoffs. Do you use that disappointment from the final with the group? Do you remind them of that and how they felt and to go better, or do you not even put that into their head?
No, we've not touched upon that much. We were talking about it before the game in the coaching staff. So before the game against Dallas the other day, there were 4 players starting the final that was starting that game. So it's also been a huge turnover of players who playing big roles and parts on the team, who has not been on the team as of late. And so many of the players have really not had that experience, and a lot of things happened since then. Also, I would say we played one final since. Regular season games, you can lose, and then something you have a game afterwards, and you can make up for losses, and you can make up for some mistakes. Now you can't anymore. So of course now we have to maybe try and utilize the experience we had from earlier this season, from the Champions Cup and also the Canada Cup. Yeah, to bring back some memories about how we can perform well and what we should try to avoid, and how we can maybe use that kind of experience to do well in the playoffs. And then you never know. You can play a game where you have the feeling that you're the better team and end up on the losing side, and you can also the opposite. So it's also sometimes you need a little bit of extra quality in certain situations, and luckily I think that we have that quality. So I hope that we can do well, and we will, and we have high ambitions. So it's we're ready.
He's the gaffer. You can't try it on with him. He's the gaffer. Even when he's on a limb. He's the gaffer. When his back's against the wall, has the answer to it all.
The gaffer, Jesper Sorensen there, and the Whitecaps are ready. You'll love to hear it. It's going to be a fantastic atmosphere at BC Place on Sunday afternoon. The upper bowl has been opened up. They're already expecting a crowd in the low 30,000s. The weather's going to be a little bit horrible, so hopefully that doesn't keep the late walk-ups away and we can just pack as many folk in as possible, get as much noise as possible, and just get everyone behind the team for this playoff run. More than that in a little bit as well. But Jesper is going to be going into this game confident. The whole Whitecap side will be as well. And as I said, there will be no complacency there. They've won 10 times at home at BC Place. It was a blip, and we all know the reasons why this past weekend. The other games that they've lost this year, home and away, we covered that in the last show. So many of them during the international breaks when the squad was very much depleted. And there's some players coming back. Tristan Blackman, it's been great to see him training this week. I feel this weekend is going to be too soon for him. Game 2 probably will be as well. And we might not see Tristan until the LAFC semi-final, if that is how that one plays out. Brian White, on the other hand, I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe don't see him at some point in this series, although when you looked at training this week, it did feel that Tristan was a little bit further along from Brian, and we don't want to rush Brian back with a hamstring injury. We've seen what's happened with him before. Anybody that was watching the Celtic game in the Europa League on Thursday as well, Alistair Johnston, after being out for 10 weeks with his own hamstring injury, brought back into the team, lasted 23 minutes, hamstring went again. So it's something that you want to be very, very careful with. But obviously we need that firepower up front. And it is something that, without having a prolific scorer like Brian White out there, does give Dallas a little bit of an advantage in that regard. Another advantage for Dallas is maybe the height of the team as well. Dallas are a team of big lads, and with Laborda being out, even with Laborda in, if it is looking like Ralph Priso at the back, that's a smaller centre-back. Tate Johnson's not the biggest, Eddie Racampo's not the biggest. I mean, it's coming to defending set pieces, as we saw in that game on Saturday against Dallas. Dallas do have a height advantage there, and that was actually something that Dallas head coach Eric Quill talked about in his pre-match press conference on Thursday. Myself and Har jumped on that call with a couple of Dallas media, so let's bring you that just now.
How do you feel with this practice, this week of practice has gone in preparation for this opening round of the MLS playoffs? And then I think the bigger question that a lot of fans are wondering about, Sam Sarver has absolutely been a game changer for the team as of late, but you have both Petar Musa and Logan Farrington back after suspension. While I'm sure you're not going to give us any hints of the starting lineup this weekend, how difficult is it right now for you to pick that starting 11 with the way so many players are in form right now?
Sure. Well, first off, the week of training has been amazing. I think there's obviously a breath of, there's a new energy. I think for a guy like Petar, who didn't make the playoffs last year in year one, now makes it in. There's an excitement to him, just the group as a whole, to kind of go from where we were to making it in, and so there's just been a real big buy-in, and the intensity of training has been outstanding for the last 3 months. So they're ready, and they're I think they're just antsy to get to the game. because they're just excited. So I'm really pleased, and I'm looking forward to seeing who we are tonight in Vancouver. But to your second question is, yeah, I mean Sam, you're going to see Sam again. I mean he's I don't discount the hot hand, and Patar's Patar. I'm not sitting Patar out. He's the guy he's a lethal weapon that we need. So, but we've got everybody's fire. I mean, up front, like we've got great weapons, and we'll come with a great game plan ready for Vancouver. But it's nice to have those three guys back that were suspended because the depth that was a worry of mine was our depth in the late stages of that game last weekend, and so our depth is right. We're healthy, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity.
Last week, you guys, even with the man advantage, you guys were really only on a 70-30 kind of possession battle. How do you see that this week when it should pretty much be an 11v11 for 90 minutes?
Yeah, I mean it's not they're going to win the possession game. We're okay with that. Every team we play does. That's not what we're trying to do. We believe in verticality and our moments that when we'd rather break down, 4 versus 4 than 11 versus 11 or and that's our philosophy. That's what we've been about all year long is how fast we can get the goal when we turn them over. So it's who we are. And they're on the opposite. So they like to have the ball um so we're going to be patient. We're going to be hungry to set traps and entice them to make mistakes. And when they make mistakes, it's about can we punish? Are we making good decisions on the break? Are we again, you look at some of the chances we got last weekend on the break, and they're there. They're going to be there again because they throw heavy numbers forward and leave themselves susceptible to counterattack. So that's our style, and we're going to play that way. Now, can we find longer chunks of time to help ourselves and not be on the defensive back foot so often? Yes, I think that's a goal of ours but we're not. It's not like we're going to jump to a 50-50 just, possession game. We know that they're going to have the stranglehold of that statistic, and we want to invite them in. I mean, that's the whole point of the game plan is to, maybe if we'll press in our moments when they're there, but we're gonna give them a few different looks and just like we did last weekend and it's about 11v11. It may sometimes playing against 10 is tough when you have a Müller full, kind of going false and going in different areas and unbalancing the game a bit and guys have to communicate all the time where he's going versus if there's a 9 there, a reference player is probably going to play pretty similar on both sides of the 9 and find his pockets. So, but I would assume the possession numbers are going to. Hopefully, we can increase ours a bit, but they're still going to be heavy in their favor.
Yeah, last week you got a fairly rare goal for the season off of a set piece. Obviously, man advantage may have played a little factor there, but do you feel like that's an area where you guys can expose Vancouver because they've given up a fair amount of goals off of set pieces this year?
Yeah, we do. We feel like we have a height advantage. It'll be interesting to see if Priso starts. Obviously, Laborda out. And they're 9. Obviously, Rios we assume is back in, and so that's a height piece. But we have more. We feel, and we've looked at all their set pieces and their structures, and we do feel like that's an area we can take advantage, and we need to be really hungry in those moments when we do get corners and free kicks. This is the time of year that you want to capitalize on those because those can be the margins.
Last one from me. Delgado left early last weekend. How's he doing this week? Is there any other injury concerns to discuss going into the game one?
Oh yeah, he's doubtful, but everybody else is healthy, and he's not a long term at all. So if we're day by day kind of evaluating where he is.
How is your team viewing being the underdog in this matchup, knowing that maybe some people are not picking Dallas to advance and maybe Vancouver's more of a favorite? How is your team viewing all of that?
Yeah, is there anybody that's picking us? I mean, I think it's majority everybody picking Vancouver, which I think everybody loves to be the underdog. It takes some pressure off and allows you to have a little more free-minded to yourself. And our guys are okay with that. I mean, so it gives us an edge. It gives us something to shoot for. We know that Vancouver's obviously got a bitter taste in their mouth from last weekend. If you listen to their responses, and so we know what's at stake, and we know that they're going to come flying, and they have purpose, and they have a desire to rectify what happened last weekend. And we know they're a quality side, so we're not discounting anything. And I've told our players that what happened last weekend is not, that's not, don't feel like you have any sort of edge in this game. You got to go we got to up our percentages in every phase of the game, and our desire and our transitions and our tackling. Everything has got to have more venom and belief to it. If we're gonna be victorious there again. So it's gonna be a battle, but these guys have shown they can battle with anybody.
Eric, how do you feel the back four matches up? Because the Whitecaps kind of hemmed Dallas in their own half for portions of the second half. You think that's sustainable across 180 minutes or further if that kind of pressure persists?
Yeah, I mean, I do. We've been doing it all year long. We know our mid blocks very well. We will press and do some things that'll change the ebb and flows of the game. And for me, when we got to pounce when they get sloppy or impatient. And so, again, you got half times to readjust and make adjustments that may take the game in a different course. And that's my job, is to evaluate at halftime if our game plan is working or if it's not. And we'll have a good, we'll know the steps that we want to take to, if the game's not going in the way we want it to go, to change and try to get it back in our favor. But we know that their style is their style. They're not making huge adjustments to who they are. And so again, we played them last week. We played them obviously early in the season. We've watched each other. Like we know each other. These two teams know each other. It's going to be a mentality is probably what's going to be and they have a big one and we have a big one. So it's, we've got to be fighters in our moments and win our duels. Duels are going to be important. And again, who can take their chances when they're there.
With it being a best of three series, do you approach anything differently in game one than you would if it was like straight knockout? Or how do you feel just in general about the best of three matchups?
I mean, I think three is a lot, in my opinion. I think that I come from, as a player, in the old system of two, a home and away leg, which again, when you're talking about the physical load of 3 games and it's just it's a lot on the players. But again, we're gonna do it. Let's just like everybody else is doing it. And I think there are minor adjustments that you make from game to game. Obviously, our big is we got three of our starters back that weren't there last weekend. So that's an adjustment in itself that they're going to have to plan for. And will give us we will be a different look of a team in this game than we were last weekend. So the question is how successful are we in this new look? And then obviously Laborda being red carded, what's their solution to replacing him? And the 9 going out, like it's, they're like, is it the same? Is it Rios again? And are they making any changes in the wide area? Like, so a lot of us are going to guess on each other. And then once the whistle blows, it's on the players to make their adjustments and make sure that we've got to be nice and tight in our lines. Like, again, against a team like Vancouver, who's so talented, you can't get stretched apart. You can't be lazy. You got to be sprinting to get in positions to make it hard and difficult for them, because if you give them the easy stuff, they're gonna punish you. And so we know we got our hands full, but we believe in ourselves, and we give ourselves bigger chances than most people are giving us to win this game.
Dallas head coach Eric Quill there, looking forward to game one of the best of three series against the Whitecaps on Sunday afternoon. Quill, in his second season now as head coach of FC Dallas, took over the team last year The team didn't make the playoffs in 2024, missed the playoff line by 6 points overall, finishing in 11th. They've had a good run this year. They've had spells where they had long unbeaten stretches at home. Even on the road, they started the season. I think it was 6 games they went unbeaten on the road to start the season. And they're a tough team to beat, and they can bunker and they can defend. And we saw that last weekend. And they're going to have a couple of their key players back that were missing that game last Saturday. Forwards, Peter Musa, their Croatian DP, and the American forward Logan Farrington back from suspension. That will also give them that height advantage. And it was interesting hearing Eric Quill talking there. It looks like he wants to try and capitalise on those set pieces. So it's very important that the Whitecaps try and don't give up free kicks in or around the box. Try and limit the amount of corners that Dallas get in this one. And we know they're going to play the long ball over the top as well. He spoke there. They know they're going to be giving up possession as well. And it does sound like they're going to just sit back, try and hit on the counter, get those long balls going and try and take advantage at set pieces. So it'll be interesting to see how all of that one plays out. But you still have to have the Whitecaps heavy favourites going into the match. So I'll bring you some more pre-match audio now from the Whitecaps press conference on Wednesday. Just a little bit of chat from Sebastian Berhalter and Thomas Müller. They've been doing everything together. On the pitch, scoring goals, creating goals, at the hockey, at the basketball. Now they're doing press conferences together. Here's Seba and Thomas Müller.
Thomas, I'm curious just the journey that you've been on this season. You know, you play your last match for Bayern earlier in the summertime. You know, you played in the Champions League. You come here and you help a team, you know, have their best season ever. The city has fallen in love with you. You seem to have really embraced the city. What's the journey been like for you to get to this point, heading into Sunday's match?
Yeah, you described it quite well. It's an interesting year in my career. Starting back then and in Munich, maybe in January I thought I would stay one more season. In April I knew my chapter there will finish in summer with the special situation of the first time ever Club World Cup. So it was an extended leave in Munich, and then after that, or in a certain moment, I didn't know what's coming up next. I was open for a lot of things, but but I didn't expect that I choose that good. Because, as you mentioned, I think I'm here since 13th of August. It's now a little bit more than 2 months. The journey is quite sensational for me, with the team, with the Caps, with the players. We are doing really well, and also for me and myself, I'm able to provide some goals and a little bit more than that. But that was always my goal, to bring something in here. That was also the goal from Axel and Jesper, to bring me in. So my job is not done yet. I'm here to help the Caps to win the MLS Cup, but as well I'm here to develop the team, also preparing the next season. So it's more than just a stay for 4 months and all in or nothing. But at the moment we're in the playoffs, so I don't care about the future. I care about Sunday, and I care about winning this big thing. When on my first flight to Vancouver, you already know that I watched this documentary from '79. It was really nice to see what can happen with a city, maybe at former times with a village. If there is success, if you win against maybe bigger cities, and that's what we want to do. But that's the story part of the journey. What I'm focused on is the grass and the balls. We need balls.
Sebastian, no moment has been too big for this club. Yes, you didn't finish in first and you lost to FC Dallas, but this team has been very resilient through a full 90 minutes. Will you go about it the same way, or would you like to take control of this match in the opening half on Sunday to really set the tone for the first two games?
Yeah, I think we probably don't want a red card in the first 10 minutes. I think that's pretty obvious. But yeah, I think we want to get after it, and we want to set the tone. And we're in front of our home fans. Hopefully it'll be a nice crowd, and we want to give them something to get excited about. And going down the stretch that they can really believe in this team. So yeah, we're gonna go out there and give it all we got.
Sebastian, you've been here for a while now. You've been through playoffs with the Whitecaps before. What feels different heading into this year?
Yeah, I mean, even just the matchup, I think, last year it's like, we have LAFC again. Like, this is going to be such a nightmare. Like, we're just going to give it all we have. And just the mentality's flipped. Like, now I feel like, we're going in there. We want to dominate. We're not just going to, sit back and hopefully catch the team on the counter. This is a year where guys are confident. Guys feel like, we're feeding off each other. And Jesper's brought that, belief into us. And, yeah, it's been fun. And I think the biggest thing is going for that trophy.
Sebastian, the team with the run that you had to the Champions Cup final, I asked Jesper about this as well, whether he's used the disappointment in that final as motivation for you for this, but he said he hasn't really talked to the players about that. Do you use that personally as a drive of, we were so close to that big success, we know what defeat felt like, we want to now make sure we don't feel like that again?
Yeah, I think it's more building on the positives that we've built this year over that defeat. I think that was a game that kind of was what it was, and it was a good learning for everyone. But I think we're trying to focus on the positive things that we did the whole year, and all those hard games we overcome, and the group sticking together in really tough moments, and that's what's going to bring us to that next step, and really help us get to the finals and win a trophy.
Thomas, you've spoken a lot about mentality and what you want from this group and what you've seen on the pitch, and sometimes you said they need a little pinch sometimes to get going. You're from a club that's known for a winning mentality, Mia San Mia and everything that goes with that. Is that something that you can instill in players when you go to a new club, or does it have to be in you?
No, it's a very small part, because the mentality in this group is really, really good. It's more about belief in the playing style, belief in certain situations, what to do. So it's more a trust in our habits than being a winner. I think this group, as you mentioned, you can see the last 10 games, over 90 minutes, we go full. We're fighting back in so many games. So the mentality is not a problem. The pinch, I meant more for doing the right thing, being brave enough to do the right thing. Even sometimes it seems to be maybe a little bit too offensive, too aggressive, but sometimes it is the right thing to do, and you have to come over this maybe little fear, but that's more a real football-based, individual tactical side of it. It's not a mentality thing that in this group was mentally strong since I'm here. So they reached the final in the CONCACAF, is it right? CONCACAF? Mm-hmm. Not because of weak mentality. So I think Jesper brought in, I can imagine, with a different style and a different approach of how to play the game. He catched the players, because my experience is as I played all my career long, I always like to be proactive. So I go for all these coaches want me to play proactive. I'm dying for it, for the playing style. You can be successful even with sitting back and having counterattacks if your team is what it is and you have to play your strengths, you know what I mean? But this team goes this proactive way, and then we have to believe in this way, and I have a good feeling. So.
Sebastian, you've been here for a couple of years. So, just in your opinion, what do you think a championship would mean to a city that's been dying for one for so long?
Yeah, I think 2 years ago, watching the Canucks make that run, I realized how much it can mean to the city. It was everywhere you went, you would see Canucks flags and flags on cars, and it was just like you could feel it within the city, that sports atmosphere, and it was a sports city for almost 3 weeks, and that's what I feel like, hopefully we can have and we can do in this run. And, I'd love to see that. And that's I think another positive that I've been, thinking about. Like, those are the things that get me excited, like less about, the losses, but seeing like something like the Canucks have that success and the whole city rallying behind them. That's something that, is I've dreamt since I've been here. So yeah, hopefully, we give them something to be excited about.
Thomas Müller and Sebastian Berhalter there, just looking ahead to Sunday's big game with FC Dallas. And it's great to see how the two of them have bonded so well. They've got a great chemistry on the pitch. You can clearly see the chemistry off it in all the interviews. I mean, last year and the year before we had the Ryan Brian bromance. This year it's definitely Seba and Thomas. I do wonder, like, next time I get a chance to sit down with Seb, I'm going to ask him a little bit about that. But I also wonder, like, he spent some of his formative years in Germany, and I wonder if any of that kind of plays into it, or just what it was between the two of them that just sort of clicked. Whatever it is, it's fantastic, and it's great to see the two of them. And it's just really great to see this squad in general. Everyone seems to get on. We've spoken about it all year long. It's the old, there's no I in team, but it really isn't. It's a team mentality first. No one is bigger or better than the team, and they've all got self-belief, and they've all got belief in each other and their teammates and what they can do on the pitch, and that has been a big part of the success this year. And Jesper Sorensen has instilled that team mentality into this group, and we've reaped the rewards. And now that we're in the business end of the season, it's exciting as to where this team could go. And I love hearing Sebastian just talk about what it would mean to him to see this city get behind the team. He spoke about when the Canucks were on the playoff run and you saw all the Canucks flags on vehicles and in shops and everywhere, and he just dreams of having that kind of reaction to the Whitecaps here. And this year, the Whitecaps have deserved to have a reaction like that. And we've seen it in little bursts, and it's great to see the fan base growing. We've got the upper bowl open for this game. If it's LAFC and Sun coming to town, that's going to get packed out as well for a conference semi-final, which I know I keep mentioning. We shouldn't get too carried away because it's playoff football and anything can happen. But it's hard not to. And it is also hard not to think what this team could be and what it could achieve. And, I mean, you've got to wonder as well, like, nothing is 100% guaranteed. Thomas Müller back next year is not 100% guaranteed. There's still I's to dot, T's to crosses. Axel spoke a little bit about that in the round table that we brought you in the last show. Thomas there kind of speaking about it as well. I mean, I can't help but wonder if the Whitecaps went on, won the MLS Cup, would Thomas Müller feel, well, I've grown the fan base, I've won a cup, I've won 2 cups, in fact, with the Canadian Championship, my job here is done. Hopefully not. Hopefully he would love to have a Champions Cup adventure as well and win that trophy and get that in his personal tick column as well. It's also a World Cup year. He's going to be doing media for the World Cup for German TV. So there's all of that factors into it as well. But Sebastian just talking so passionately about what it would mean to him for the city to get behind the team. It's just wonderful to hear. And he himself has been such a great story this year. And I'd love him to have a standout playoff performance. The whole team, in fact, they all deserve it. And another player that I think has definitely got what it takes to have a standout playoff run, Canadian winger Jayden Nelson came into this league in February destroying Portland Timbers. 3 assists, a goal in his first match back in MLS. And he had 3 seasons with Toronto in their first team. The first of those seasons, they did make the playoffs, but Jayden wasn't part of the playoff squad. So this is his real first playoff run in Major League Soccer. He's looking forward to it. And it's just something we've talked about many times this year. Whether it's Nelson, Ahmed, Sabi, Cabrera on the wings, Ryan Gauld on the wings. It's just so dangerous to have starting the match, coming off the bench. And I've just got this gut feeling that after a season where there's been some highs, there's not been low lows, but there's definitely been some games where Jayden's maybe not lit the heather alight, but has still been a constant threat with his speed. I just have a gut feeling that Jayden Nelson is going to have a tremendous 2025 playoffs. Calling it now, he will get a goal against Dallas on Sunday. Well, I got a chance to sit down with Jayden just to chat about this playoff series to come. Here's what he had to tell me. So Jayden, first proper kind of playoff run coming up for the Whitecaps.
Yeah.
How much are you looking forward to this?
Yeah, it's exciting, you know, especially with the group we have and how ambitious and motivated we are. I think it's a good time to have my first playoff run, and yeah, I'm excited to start that.
Mentality-wise, that run in the Champions Cup, it's very much kind of like a playoff run. What can you guys draw from that run to take into the playoffs now?
I think, especially in the Champions League, it was more guys stepping up and being able to perform when, you know, we had injuries or, you know, just other guys that or starters weren't able to play, you know, and we had that next man up mentality, and I think we learned a lot from that. And guys are coming back from injury now, and you know they're going to integrate with the group again, and I think we're all motivated, especially how things ended in Cruz Azul. So we're just motivated to push for this, and you know we're a more experienced team. We're getting better as well each game, and yeah, it's gonna be an interesting playoff run.
Talking of motivation, I'm pretty sure there's been a fire under you after how Saturday played out. I mean, great defending from Dallas, great goalkeeping, but I mean that kind of backs to the wall approach doesn't feel like that would be sustainable in a 3-game series.
Yeah, of course not. You know, even with a man down, we still had like 70% possession. You know, we're still creating chances, and imagine if we had 11 men. You know, so it's going to be good. You know, we have a chip on our shoulder as well because we sold ourselves short a bit, you know, with that red card and not be able to win the West. So it sucks, but we're just going into this wanting to beat Dallas and beat them in 2 games.
One of the things that Thomas Müller said after the game on Saturday was sometimes he feels this team needs to have that adversity. They need to go behind, or they need to be on the back foot to suddenly get that spark. Is that something that you feel as well? I mean, is it something that's been talked about?
Not necessarily, but I think there's been so many times where we've gone down this season and we were able to bounce back.
Yeah.
And I think that game against Dallas, we're pretty shot after that red card, and you could see it. But when we got that penalty, it was like everything changed, you know. And why do we have to get a penalty for things to change, you know? Like, we're still in the game, we're still a better team with a man down, you know what I mean? So I think that's the mentality he's talking about, and yeah, we just have to show it more, and we're gonna face adversity in the playoffs. There's things gonna happen. There's gonna be bad refereeing, you know, or things that are just not gonna go our way, and we just have to play on and know that we're the better team and be able to get the result.
Last thing about the Dallas series, you're going into it as heavy favourites. We know that sometimes come playoff time, we saw it with Miami last year, anything can happen in playoff time. This doesn't strike me as a group that's going to allow any complacency to come in, but how do you make sure that you're totally focused and you don't feel the pressure of being favourites?
I wouldn't think we're favourites. I think we kind of lost in this round, yes, of course, but I think in the tournament we kind of lost. Maybe not winning the West, it took a bit of a pressure off of us a bit, but I think regardless, we know what it's like to be in a tournament. We know what it's like to go to the final in a big tournament, and we're just going to have to do it again, you know.
Thank you so much. Good luck for the playoffs to come, and it's been exciting watching this year, and here's to what's to come.
Thanks so much, Jayden.
Appreciate it. Cheers, man. Jayden Nelson there, talking Whitecaps Dallas playoffs. We're about 48 hours away at the time that this podcast drops, just a bit over that, until the game kicks off, the series gets underway. Hopefully it is 2 and done. Slightly selfishly from me, because I can't make it to Game 3, because I'm going to be in Red Deer commentating on the CCAA Nationals, so I'd like it done and dusted in 2. Keeping my fingers crossed as well that I can get down to Game 2 in Dallas. A lot of that is going to depend on how the Canada West playoffs play out this weekend. I'll talk about that in the next show. But that is it for this part. Hope you've enjoyed our build up to Whitecaps Dallas. We're going to turn our attention to the CPL in the next 2 parts. It's also there, playoff time. And we'll be back setting up those and looking at last weekend's action around the Canadian Premier League after this episode's song from our album of the month.
Hi, I'm Tate Johnson, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
And he caught this fucking pebbles, man. He's getting fucking done. Oh, fuck, here comes that don't pay up. They make me do bad stuff. Try and make me look like a city boy without them paying enough. Oh, fuck, here comes that don't pay up. They make me do bad stuff. Try and make me look like a city boy without them paying enough. It's coming along compared to on talk or a couple of grand per band. I'll be at the front door, the 3 shadows, you'll know what for. A crowd, that's a signature knock. Even 2 seconds for a blow off the chops. Mowgli Bob is a dangerous chap. But I fake in the file and scope and I'm out, wah. But your pills are fleeced. Spent your money on the kid last week. Spoof. What you talking shit for? Cause see a brand new PS5 in the corner. Nish. She can load of the half a leg. Time to go. A little Tarantino, a little green back sweat spit and an ankle mark. Car red pro. We got the wrinkle. Kylie to the coach figler. Stick her mouth down under the pavement. Golden shot on a V-mod Jagger. Trick kite pop and drop you like Jenga. Kaboot! Slam! Kurt Fredger and hit the wham. Hello! Costner's Tanya Malau. Fake word. No, a fake I gone.
Can't slam, let the world chop, skin fade. Reshape and a bit off the top kneecap. No longer the one-stop shop for pricks to profit off of our stock. Now I've got some heavy by the fringe. The weak up makes me cringe.
Please, man, it's in the quiz. Supermoon tonight. That means I'm coming into money. Murder bench.
He got deep try and he needs chakra. Thumb and shoulder reeling your jaw like your chakra. Digging too thicker to strangle if I have to. Lift blue your eyes blood shot like a rasta. More special on top the asphyxiate you if you're shot than you. Bet you at the hip, more to make clock the hip. In case you're no con Sean, I will smack the hip.
Fake a linje. Kylie to the coach figler. Stick her mouth down under the pavement. Golden shot on a V-mod Jagger. Trick kite pop and drop you like Jenga. Kaboot! Slam! Kurt Fredger and hit the wham. Hello! Costner's Tanya Malau. Fake word. No, a fake I gone.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show. And kicking off this part is this episode's song from our album of the month. The album in question is Irish rap trio Kneecap's second studio album, Fine Art, released in 2024. And that was track 4 from it, Efekia Linja, which I think roughly translates as In Debt to Us. Probably butchered the pronunciation there. I'm sure if Marty McDermott, the Whitecaps kick man, is listening to this, he'll pick me up on that. But another great song from the album, and we've got one more song to come from the album in the next show as Kneecap wrap up their residency for the month of October. But we're going to get back to the football chat now, and we're going to be joined by Zach for this part, as we turn our attention to the Canadian Premier League and their regular season that wrapped up this past weekend, and the playoffs that have already got underway and what is to come this weekend. And the regular season wrapped up in the Canadian Premier League on Saturday, as it did in Major League Soccer. And you love drama on the last day of the year. There wasn't really a lot of it on this, but they call it the outcome in the CPL, which I've got to say I don't particularly like as a name, but the choice of names was quite limited. But I think in terms of drama, it wasn't the most drama-filled afternoon.
Well, it was at
it was in Langley,
Willoughby Community Park.
Yes, well, it was in Langley, which would have been lovely to have been able to watch.
Oh, you couldn't watch it?
No. So TSN were showing the Forge game.
Yeah.
And then once Forge went 3-up, they switched to the Ottawa Halifax game.
Oh.
Because that had more
Yeah.
I guess, importance, and it was done and dusted. And then they cut back for the last couple of minutes and the trophy presentation and stuff. So what they did last year, which was great, all the games that went on One Soccer's main channel, they put on YouTube.
Oh, right.
This year, if you wanted to watch the other games, you had to have the One Channel app.
The One Soccer app?
Sorry, yeah, the One Soccer app, which, considering I've got it via Telus, and they've made such a big deal of, oh, we want to be on all these things like Telus and Rogers, don't then make it so that we can't then watch the other games. And I've made this complaint before, and folk have said, well, you get what you pay for. If you want the full experience, you pay for the app. And it's like, but I am paying for One Soccer.
Yeah, but you're not paying for the One Soccer app. You're paying to have it on your TV. And this is where I think, I don't know, I know nothing about this. I haven't even asked, but I think what could conceivably happen in the future, Michael, is if you know how with so many subscription services now, right? It's like if it's a part of your TV package, then you can access their thing, right? You go online. It's like
yes,
sign
because
in
that was how I watched the first half of Whitecaps Dallas. I signed into TSN using my Telus login, and I was watching that. And I thought it should be the same for One Soccer, but we found out it wasn't earlier in the year when the TSS game against Valor wasn't, and you had to have it. And nobody's going to just buy the One Soccer app just for like watching the last games of the season. So I was disappointed I couldn't watch the Vancouver game, because I was actually going to watch that game, because as we'll come to, that was a game that had a lot on the line.
Yeah. And well, that's the thing about this is like, I like how the league has done it proper, right? It's the last day, everyone's playing all the exact same time. And I think this year, things really worked out for them. You can talk about the drama within the matches, but I think the drama of, what was on the line, I think
the potential was
there.
It just didn't play out.
You had Forge in the Ontario Derby, or the 905 Derby, or whatever they call it, where they're playing York, and if they win, they win the title, and then you had Ottawa playing Halifax, and Atletico needed to win to put pressure on Forge to potentially finish ahead of Forge, and you had Halifax trying to get the win to then leapfrog Cavalry.
Yeah,
Cavalry playing Vancouver FC
game.
Avoid the playing game and get the third spot to host the next game. So you had Cavalry playing away to Vancouver, where Cavalry was trying to get a point or three so that they could then solidify that third spot. You had Vancouver, who wanted a minimum of a point to avoid equalizing FC Edmonton for the worst record of all time, even though they were guaranteed to finish bottom of the table. And then to a lesser degree, you had Valor away to Pacific, where they were fighting for 6th and 7th.
Mm-hmm. If we look at the champs, it's another title for Forge. 3-0 win over York.
Convincing.
Yeah. I mean, York had 5 shots in the whole game, one of them on target. It's like they almost checked out, it kind of felt. Horjapur opened the scoring in 11 minutes.
It was a Horjapur classic.
Oh,
it was,
yeah.
It was a corner with a little bit more flair this time, where it was a give and go between Borges and I can't remember who, but kind of like a played short back to Borges into the near post, and like Hajipur has scored 3 or 4 massive goals from that very, very spot. And it was a little bit incredible at how unmarked he actually was on the goal, and how easy it was, and how simple it was.
Technically, his goals won them the Shield.
Exactly. He's won 2, I believe. I'm not at least 1, maybe 2 of his goals have won the playoff titles, and his goal has now won the Supporter Shield, and that was followed up with a brace from Brian Wright, not to be confused with Brian White.
I know, it's very confusing, especially when they were playing against each other.
Yeah.
But no, it's like White, 2 minutes into stoppage time, then the 54th minute, and I mean, as soon as the second goal went in, I mean, pretty much as soon as the first goal went in, you felt that was it. Second one definitely put the game to bed, and another championship. Their third regular season title for Forge, 2021, 24, and 25. So back-to-back regular season titles. They've been overall CPL champions in 2019, 2020, 2022, and 2023. So every single season of the 7 so far, they've either won the regular season or they've won the playoffs and been champions. They've never done the double, and you've got to feel this is the year that they're going to do that.
You got to think that Bobby's been, in their ear about that all season, especially as things have come to a close, of how much he wants both these titles and how much he wants both of them to solidify their legacy and to prove to everyone that no matter how much other people talk, they are really the top dogs.
Well, funny you should say about how other people talk. That takes us on nicely to the team that ended up finished second. It's a team that we've talked about on air and off air. I can't believe that a team has made me want Forge to win games. Mejia at Ottawa and Atletica Ottawa in general have done that this season. They are not an easy team to like. And they're also like stumbling into the postseason a little bit. Their form's kind of taken a big dip. They came away with a 1-0 win at Halifax. Halifax had a slew of chances in the second half in particular. And they ended up coming away with the narrow 1-0 win. And they had to wait till the 89th minute to get the goal. And then they celebrated like crazy that it really meant something. But, they did outshoot Halifax in the game. But Halifax just felt that they looked a more dangerous team for a lot of it without creating the chances. But, yeah, they're stumbling in a little bit here. And we'll get to Mejia's comments in a sec.
Yeah, well, you talk about Mejia's comments and their mouths getting them into trouble or earning the ire of others around the league. Their mouths got them in trouble in this game because at the end of the match, one of their coaches or whatever got sent off for frustration over a couple of tackles that happened at the end of the game. One, I think, was a call that they thought shouldn't have gone against them. The other was a call, or at the same time, was a tackle that they thought should have been punished more harshly. And one of their, I don't know which coach it was. They were holding Mejia back at the end to make sure that he wasn't involved.
Well, since we're talking about Diego Mejia now, this was his quotes this week going into the final weekend. We improved the level of everyone in this league. Forge are the historical team. I think that the best one, we are the best one. The team that's second and hasn't actually won anything. Ottawa right now changed the culture that the Canadian people need to watch a game. Like, is he just deluded or is he just trying to deliberately generate headlines?
It's great questions, Michael.
Because it's not accurate.
Yeah, I get what he's trying to say and trying to do.
Yes.
I think on one level he's trying to talk about how they their level of play has raised the league and made their opponents better because they've had to play against them and whatever. But when you don't back it up with the results, it doesn't matter if you play champagne football and then don't get the results, right? Like that's the bottom line. And you heard a little bit of that from Bobby and people like Bobby and Kyle Becker after they hoisting silver.
Bobby's a quote from Bobby here. It's 7 years of North American sport, salary cap sport. You tell me the last team to do it in 7 years consistently.
Yeah.
Ottawa's not even done it 1 year consistently. And then Kyle Becker was like, there's an idealistic way to do things, but the reality is you're paid to do this, so you have to win. And that is what Forge have. Like, Forge have a winning culture. And yes, personally, I would like more winners so it doesn't get boring like Scottish Premier League, the Bundesliga, times when Man City were running away with it in the English Premiership. It's something that makes MLS so good. You don't have those teams that's winning year after year after year. And you can go from best to worst, a la LA Galaxy, or you can have a shocking season and then get into the playoffs and do well in the playoffs. And the CPL, Forge are a dominant team. And we've spoken about all the reasons why, and we'll speak a little bit more, I'm sure, in episodes to come. But they also play a good brand of football. and they've been the best team all year. You look at that undefeated run that they were on. What I will say about Ottawa is Ottawa pushed them all the way and then fell short at the end. And I'm confident enough to say, Zach, that they're the best second-place team in the history of the league.
Wow. That's quite funny.
I'm surprised he hasn't come out and said that. I've seen on the phone to him saying, "Oh, you should say this."
Oh, my.
Maybe Ashton Gope is his scriptwriter.
No.
But, I mean, I hope Forge destroy them in their game on Sunday, and then I hope they get bounced in the semi-finals, because it would be so funny. But I mean, what Kyle Becker says is right. Like, there's an idealistic way to play football. We all know, as you said, like champagne football. We all know what the wonderful brand of football would be. But you also know that a lot of football, you win it ugly. Look at Dallas against the Whitecaps at the weekend. They won that quite ugly.
Yep.
Route 1 football, Wimbledon back in the day, winning an FA Cup, ugly football, effective football.
Yep.
Very few teams at the top level can play beautifully week in, week out and get the results. And if you can, good luck to you. I mean, as a Bayern fan, genuinely, I haven't watched a lot of Bayern. Would you say they play that kind of quality level of football, enjoyable football to watch and get the results? Or is it a mix?
In my, whatever, what are we at? 30 plus years of watching them and following them, and these last few years of being a member. Yeah, there's been a lot of champagne football over the years, but then with different coaches, there's been a bit more of a mix where some of them have been more practical or pragmatic or whatever. But no, in general, Bayern had, like this year, yeah, they are playing some quite good stuff for the most part.
Oh, I saw Harry Kane's open to an extension. I'm assuming he meant contract and not just in his garden, but hard to tell with him.
Yeah, I'm open to him being sold this summer. So we'll see where things land.
He's coming to the Whitecaps. You heard it here first.
To be fair, I mean, as much as I don't fancy him at all. And for those who maybe listen to this and are like, "Oh, what's wrong with you? He scored, all these goals."
I know. I was talking to somebody about this.
No, like
I don't like him because he's English. But I admire that he's a great striker.
I admire his ability. I appreciate his abilities and his contributions and stuff. Don't get me wrong. He's just a player I don't like. I'm a Bayern supporter who doesn't like Arjen Robben. Like I don't like him. But I appreciate his contributions.
Actually, but we'll save the VFC game to last. Let's say save the best to last. Technically, the one that's got the most talking points anyway. Although this game had some talking points as well. So, obviously, you were at the VFC cavalry game. So I was watching the TSN coverage. And then they kept cutting to the goals from the Valor Pacific game.
Yeah.
And it's like, Valor, no, they're not going to qualify for the playoffs today. Valor destroyed Pacific, who were all sorts of terrible. Pacific, at home, last game of the season, outshot 17-5. Valor, 10 shots on target to Pacific's 2. That just sums up Pacific's season. They were terrible. And I've seen some Pacific fans post about this, and I agree with this. That needs blown up from top to bottom.
Did you see your boy Josh Hurd's?
I didn't see the sending off because they didn't show it, and I haven't watched the highlights back. But I know he was sent off.
It was a second yellow. His first yellow is just he totally is just taking the player out. Like the ball's gone. He has no intention to play the ball. He's just like, we're getting thrashed here. I'm just going to kick the guy. And then his second one was again kind of him coming together with. I forget who it was in the corner. I think they both pushed each other or shoved each other or whatever, and they got yellows.
I did see Pacific social media that had a kind of picture of coming together and the flashpoint saying, "We fought to the end." And it's like, the scoreline would say otherwise. Yeah. And having a player sent off it's not a good thing to be. Yeah, we fought.
Yeah.
He punched him right in the face, which he didn't do, but it's like, but I read that, I thought that was possibly what had happened. It's like, he put a punch on somebody and then they fought to the end. Let's try and control the narrative. They were terrible. It's been a terrible season. And I mean, we were talking about this before we were recording. The sooner 6-5 get rid of one of the teams, the better for them, I feel.
Well, let's be
Red and-
let's be accurate. As soon as 6-5 sells Pacific FC.
Oh, yes, because they're not selling Vancouver. Yeah, okay, fair enough. As soon as they get rid of one of the teams, which is going to be Pacific, they can just focus all their attention on one team, which I think they need to do. I feel they've just been spread too thin. Resources-wise, everything, focus. And we know it's been run by different people, but even them, like you've got an owner at Pacific that spends most of his year in Switzerland.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that Pacific FC is not held by an absentee owner in Josh Simpson.
And I'm not saying that he's not hands-on, because you can be hands-on from a distance.
Yeah, totally.
But it's not great.
And I know some people will say, well, what about Rob Friend and his position that takes him to Malaysia for a couple weeks, a month, or whatever it is, right? Like, but he's also not the only one kind of doing things.
I've been following the stuff that's going on in Malaysia.
Yeah. Oh, we'll talk. You and I will talk about that more later. I have not talked to Rob about that, but I think he's cleaning up the mess of other people there. But
which seems a giant mess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do feel they've spread themselves too thin, and I get why. And they've needed to do it. They've needed to get these teams. They've needed to support the league. But someone needs to come in for Pacific just to breathe new life into it, because that is a team that after a season like this, and you're playing at a place that isn't the easiest for casuals to get to, you have another season like that, you're in danger of losing a big chunk of that fan base.
Yeah, well, I think there's the situation where they're trying to make sure that the club gets into what's it called?
Royal Athletic Park.
Royal Athletic Park, right? Like, so I think that's a huge thing.
But it's still hanging over as well. It's like,
I think that's a big part of, I think, trying to sell the team. I think the local, what is he, in real estate, or Ross? I can't remember his last name, but the guy who's involved in one of the people kind of took over from Paul Byrne when Paul Byrne departed earlier this year. I think is really committed on the team being, on the island, and I think he's someone who has done a lot this year for them, and I think I think if they get that move, if they get that kind of relocation with on the island, I think it bodes well for them to be able to maybe progress the club the way they would like to.
Yeah, I do feel though that they need a big clear out of players. Like, they're just simply not good enough. And I know there's been another season of injuries, and like, we've known James Merriman for many years as well. I do feel it needs a new voice in there. Although maybe with James and a new bunch of players, but there's got to be something drastically changing at that club.
I feel like James has, like you said, the injuries have really, like 2 years in a row, have really, really hurt them. Because you think back to last year, and he, after a game or two, had no Ali Endom, who you could see how important he is. I feel bad for James. I think he has been limited in some ways. I as much as I know there's some people who, like you just said, are maybe calling out for a new voice or a new manager there. I think if you more fully back James and give him the things that he needs, and I'll let him maybe articulate what those are.
Yeah, you've got to set him up to succeed.
Yeah, I think
that's not what the last 2 seasons have done.
Yeah, I think that he can. I think that he deserves that type of opportunity.
Yeah, but you've given him a Diaz who's got some goals. You've given him a Bustos who's had a terrible season on a personal level. Yeah, 2 goals to end it, but on the whole, has not been the Marco Bustos that we know and love. And
that's
like
been awkward.
Darius Anata, just nothing from him this year.
After ending the year so well last year, and being like, oh, could this be it? And being partnered with those other players has not ignited him in the way that they had probably hoped. I feel bad for Dario. Obviously, we know Dario really, really well, and know what he can do. But yeah, that's the big question though. Like who goes? I don't think Guerrero's going. I think the whole reason why he ended up on the island is because they were the club who said we'll pay you more money
Yeah.
when your deal in Norway is done. So I think
You've
he's
got to
there.
build around him now then. And it's like, do they do maybe what Vancouver FC did and pick up some of the Whitecaps two guys that's going to move on possibly at the end of this season? Their season was done and dusted on Sunday, so there'll be some decisions coming on those guys. And
Thanks to James Cameron and the
well,
Colorado Rapids
partly it
too.
was a nice cutback from him, to be fair, for the second goal. Whitecaps too, though, just didn't show enough attacking chops in that second half. They were just too cautious, and it really cost them.
And they didn't take those early chances
Oh,
that they had, yeah.
early on they were like so good, but I think some of those guys are going to move on, and James is going to know some of those guys. Not as many now though, because it's the Whitecaps are going to want to bring more of their own academy guys in next year, and there a lot of the guys that might move on are the internationals, and I don't know then that will suit like Pacific or whatever, or they might want to go back home and stuff as well. So I don't know where he gets the players from. Now you've got next year. We haven't talked about this on the show. Next year with Supra coming into Montreal, and what they've said is they want to have, I don't know if it's all or primarily Quebec players.
It sounded like all from
It
what I
sounded
heard.
like all, but I'm thinking, will they make it a couple of international exceptions if they're maybe French internationals or something? Basically, it's going to be an all Quebec team. I
I can
love
tell
that.
I can tell you who they're not going to have from Quebec. Emmerich Flotsam.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure about that.
Mm.
You're
Well,
hearing
they're
otherwise?
not going to have Sam Salter either.
Right, that's true. He's joining Debrienne, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That that's another one. It's like, is he going to catch on? Could it be another Tristan Borges situation? Although Borges, he was facing a pandemic,
Yeah.
and that was a tough time for
Well,
him.
I think for Salter, he's got the upper hand in terms of going to a place where there's a dude he'll know
Mm.
and another fellow Canadian English speaker. Like I think in Sweden the rate of English people who speak English is very high, so I don't think that's a huge issue. But I think
We're going to have one of them in the show in a sec.
will he break through? Yeah, that's the big question. Or how much of a breakthrough can he make? Right?
Because this is his breakout season,
Yeah.
and
It's a
lots
mix.
of strikers have that and then don't follow it up.
I mean, if you look at the layers or levels of Canadians playing in Europe right now, yeah, you've seen how difficult it can be to go to a new club and start out. You can be banging them in like Buchanan, or you can have a little bit more of a difficult time like Jonathan David, right?
Or you could, like Theo Bair's a great example.
Yes.
In Scotland, goes to St Johnstone, just not happening. Gets the move to Motherwell. Motherwell fans are like, why have we signed a striker that can't score? Goes on a great thing, Player of the Year nominee, gets a move over to Europe, struggles in Europe, goes to a new team, and does. It's like sometimes it's just the environment, whether it
Yeah.
suits you, but also who's around you, the playing style,
Yep.
and you need to be in the right setup for you. So I mean, we wish
So-
Salter well, but going back to Supra, like
Yeah.
they're going all Quebec, and there's so much talent in Quebec, and I've seen it from commentating on like nationals over the years at U17 level, the college game at U Sports, and also at CCAA. The talent coming out of Quebec is wonderful. So much of it because they've really embraced the immigrant population that comes in there, and they're all from football and countries and everything. So it would be an interesting experiment. Should Pacific and Vancouver FC, and I know VFC tried it, but Pacific, should they maybe say, hey, let's just go all in on BC talent? So at least if we're
Well,
losing,
Yeah.
we're saying we're supporting island talent, BC talent.
I think they've had a lot of the best island players.
Well, when they were doing well, it was a very BC heavy team under
But they're-
Pammy Ducan and everything.
But they're not like super BC light, are they?
No, but they're not as much as they used to be. Like a lot of the guys they've brought in are like Ontario guys, or like even TMG when he was there, obviously not a BC boy. And
The reason why Vancouver FC went away from it in year 3 of being like the hype and the focus of the marketing and whatever being around, hey, we're all local players, is because as local players, local players also bring with them higher expectations of being played on their local team more. And when you bring in 13 of them, or you have 13 of them, you can't play them all.
Yeah.
And then also, I think some of them expect to play based on the fact that they're local, and some of them, in the Vancouver FC case, didn't earn it.
Yeah.
Right. And so
And there's a big fanfare around them all as well. So they're going to going, hey, I'm the
Yeah.
guy that's in the mix here. And you never know what's ahead of you in a season. It's an interesting off season for Pacific, as with a few teams, but definitely for Pacific. We'll talk about the last game of this weekend.
Oh, before they get, can we just do quick? 3 players you think should stay at Pacific, 3 players you think should go.
Oh, you've got to say Diaz to stay.
Yep.
As definitely one of them. Ali and Dom, definitely another one.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm torn because, like, obviously, like Bustos and Herd, I don't see them going anywhere.
Yeah.
But I can make a case for some of the guys. I'm looking at their ages and stuff as well.
Yeah. That's partly why I asked you, because I was like, I think this is hard.
It is. I mean, there's players I can definitely say I think should go.
What do you think was the third one? Because I agree with you. I think Diaz for sure. I think Ali and Dome, yeah, they'll want him there. But the third one I was going to say, because he had some really standout performances this year. Yan Tueli, the striker from Cote d'Ivoire. Like he had a game where he had a hat trick.
But you look at just the overall performance from them, and the goals haven't been coming in some of the games, and they haven't even looked like scoring in some of the games. That's been a big issue as well. I mean,
Actually, I guess he only had 4 goals and 1 assist. Actually, now that
yeah, because I was like, because you mentioned that, and I'm like, I don't really remember him scoring, but
I think he scored a hat trick, and then I think his other goal was a match winner.
I mean, to go, like, because you're needing to make the team better.
Yeah.
So, like, I think Dario Zanata, it's just not worked out for him. And I know he's a local lad, and we love him, and we've known him for years. But I think he's surely, that's it for him.
La Jeunesse is coming back as a...
Yeah, La Jeunesse is definitely back, again, for half the year.
Yeah.
Which, again, is not ideal for them. But he's coming off a great U Sports season again.
What about Caden? I know he had not like the best year for them, but
see, for me, he's not one of the first names I write down to bring back, I've got to say. But I know what he can do.
yeah.
But that's the thing, like, I know what Bustos can do, and I know what Dario can do, but they just haven't been doing it. I mean, I'm looking at, like, goals-wise, you've got Diaz with 6, and Dom with 5, Tuali with 4, Dario's got 3, Bustos has 2. So, I mean, I'm saying Dario hasn't had a great season, but he's their 4th highest scorer, and he's 4th or joint 3rd in assists.
I think maybe the third one is Bustos. 2 goals, 4 assists. I think he had it's a big year in his life, right? I think he became a dad, is becoming a dad, right? Like there's some big life change going on there. So I think he's the third one you bring back. In terms of who's gone, I think that's where it's maybe even harder. Because you're right.
I mean, you keep Melvin as a goalkeeper, even if he's not the starter.
Absolutely.
But I feel you need to bring in another goalkeeper. And they tried it with Max Anker, and that didn't work out. But you're also, again, for both the keepers, they're not really set up to succeed when you've got that much defensive stuff in front of you that's just changing week to week.
Yeah.
I haven't seen enough, because I ended up just watching more highlights than anything later on in the year when they just weren't doing well. I don't know, Ahmad Mansour. I don't know how good he's been since he's come in.
Yeah, because again, Quintana was out with that season-ending injury. The same match as Krat, I think.
He had Ronan Krat that was starting the season well, and there was high hopes for him as well. Maybe it's not going to be as big a turnover as I think
Munster
it's going to be, but I think the fans are wanting a big turnover.
Munster only played 2 matches.
Mm.
So yeah.
That was a weird. It was like a 6-5 special of let's find some guy playing in a weird league and bring him into one of our teams.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you're right.
Work out, sometimes they don't.
There's probably a lot of work that needs to be done there to rebuild that squad. But yeah, they got
Then let
smashed.
us know, Pacific fans, actually, who you'd like back, who you think it's time to move on from.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if any of them are like, yeah, Hurd or Young or Chung or kind of the guys who've been there for a while.
I mean, you've got guys that's older and guys that's really young, and not a lot in between.
Mm-hmm.
That's maybe where they need to
But let's get to the match of the day.
Yeah, let's get to the match of the weekend in the CPL. 10-man Vancouver FC 2, 11-man Cavalry FC 2. All the goals coming in the last 12 minutes and stoppage time. And Cavalry were the better side for large chunks of the game. Big turning point on the hour mark, which we've debated and disagree on. Tyler Crawford, straight red. I think it was a reckless tackle, and as the referee would have viewed it, it wouldn't have looked good just from the angles. You feel it should have been a yellow.
Well, I thought it was called for Dogso, and it's not. There's no way it's Dogso because
no, it's definitely not a Dogso
because G is in the middle of the park. This is way out on the close to the touchline, or whatever, 5 to 10 yards from the touchline, and G is like further back in the middle of the field to recover. To me, it's a unfortunately timed tactical foul. He knows he can't let the player go through. It's an insignia, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a tactical foul because it's like if I don't.
Yeah, it's a tactical foul that's deserving of a yellow card.
A little tug back or whatever, and you're looking at just a yellow.
If you watch the replay though, was Renzo? Is that who it was? The referee? I can't even remember. Anyways, the referee, I think he has, because he talks to the other officials. I think whether it's the fourth official or the linesman or whoever says something to him because he doesn't pull out the card right away. He doesn't even go to the back pocket right away. I think someone says to him, "Hey, I think that's a sending off."
Yeah, it definitely seemed that he got something in his ear.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but to me, it's an absolutely he's gotten this dead wrong. It's not Dogso. It's not, to me, it's not a reckless challenge. The studs are not making contact with him. To me, he trips him. His leg goes in front of his shins and he trips him.
I would agree that when you see it back, it doesn't look as reckless as when you see it live and at speed, which is all the referees got. And where he's positioned, I think it looks bad from his viewpoint. So then he's relying on the other officials if they've got a better view.
But he's like right there. He was right. Yeah, he was right there. I think he had a fine view. I think
unless you see it side on, though, it's not. There's no way you can tell that. It looks like his studs are up and he's caught him high.
He hasn't caught him high, and his studs.
No, but that's how it looks from a certain angle.
Yeah. Anyways,
and without VAR, it's never going to be overturned.
To me, it's so egregiously wrong. And another example in 3 years of a huge heap of examples of how Vancouver FC have been on the wrong end of officiating calls in this league, and it was extremely, extremely frustrating because
they get a makeup later.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. From there, it was kind of like, okay, can they hold on to the single point and go one ahead of the
yeah, because just to explain to everyone that isn't aware, they were on course for being the joint worst ever points total in a 28 game season in CPL history. So
FC Edmonton,
the point to avoid that.
FC Edmonton 2022, 20 points, 4 wins, 8 draws. Yeah.
To their utmost credit, they come away with a point.
Yeah.
Not 100% sure how. Because Cavalry, they've got to look back at that. I mean, that is not a confidence booster going into the playoffs.
No, and
that game should have been done and dusted.
Talked to Tommy about this post game, Alex and I. about, how does this set you up? And Tommy was honest. He said, today was all about getting the third spot.
Yeah,
Doesn't
they needed
matter
that
how.
1 point, have the home advantage.
Now they didn't have Toby, right? Toby played the last game ill. It was too ill to be a part of this, so he was out. That was significant. Kenija Elva played up top, which, Tommy talked about how he probably should have played him more this season, and he proved his worth. I think in this match, scoring the second goal.
And Tigney looked good in bursts on the wing. He's got a pace that's really hard to play against.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
But
totally.
it isn't clicking for them.
Yeah, and Camargo went off in the first half injured.
Oh, yes. That
Yeah.
did not look a good one.
And he was, as we saw him just after halftime or just before halftime, and he was mild limp to his walk. Yeah, which is
Well, we know what that can lead to with Sebastian Schonlau.
But
I think good comes from a mild limp.
so the red card happens, and yeah, Vancouver see it's the 60th minute. The next 20 minutes they play valiantly, and Callum Irving, makes some incredible saves. There's some great blocks, some really good defending,
Which VFC has been good at all year.
Yeah.
And with Callum as well coming up. He's always got if it was 0-0 games, Callum Irvin's always good for like 2 game saving or point saving saves in a game. Unfortunately, it hasn't been 0-0 games, but you know what I mean. He's capable of just coming up with that save that you're like, wow, that's a save of the year contender or whatever.
yeah. And then things all kind of
Well, then, I mean, the last 12 minutes plus were like nuts. So Nico Mironjuk eventually tucks it away for Cavalry after a concerted spell of pressure from the Cavs, 78th minute, and you're like, that's going to be it now. Surely they'll just see this one out fairly comfortably, maybe even add a second. But this is the one thing, well, maybe not the only thing, but it's definitely one thing that I'll say about Vancouver FC for this season. They do not give up.
Yeah, the resiliency has been pretty high this season.
And on what was a Saturday of 10-man fighting performances, they fought, and 4 minutes later they were back on level terms. Now,
And it was
horrible defending, but
yeah, and it came about in a way that I wouldn't have thought. It came partly as a result of Hugo being subbed off, Hugo Mbong being subbed off for Pate Njai, which was kind of sad. And Martin even talked after. He's like, yeah, you never really want to take Hugo off, but it just felt like Njai brings kind of a chaos and he's like someone you do not want to play against. And
I mean, we'll talk more about him when we do our end of season stuff, but he's a player that as the season's gone on, as the weeks have gone on, I'm really liking him.
yeah, and so he just, I think it was, I want to say Montgomery. He just strips the ball off Montgomery as Cavalry's trying to play out of the back, keep possession. He just strips it off him. No foul given. A right call from the official, and he just goes in and side foots it. I will say it's another one of those moments where I'm like, you're crying out like, pass it to Ba in front so he can tap it in, right? Like because Ba's like right there. Like it would have been so much more simple in one sense, but he gets the job done.
And to Cavs' credit, they didn't appeal for a foul or anything. They knew
No.
Montgomery,
not even Montgomery did, yeah.
But I mean, even at that point, you would have thought Cavalry would have at least seen it out at 1-1 or go and get the second goal. And they did, but they had to wait to stoppage time to get it. Kenisia Elva. I guess if you're called Kenisia, you're always going to be a footballer.
Well, yeah. Well, he's named after, what's his name? Claudio Caniggia, right?
Yeah. Who, of course, spent time in Scotland with Dundee.
Yeah.
Which was one of the bizarrest timelines in Scottish football.
And it was actually a really nice goal, a well set up goal, unlike the first, which was kind of a bit scrambly and, from a Vancouver C perspective was, you felt like there should have been a clearance maybe before the goal. With this one, it was a nice ball forward and a beautiful backheel layoff. And I talked to Caniggia after the match and asked him about how he, took the goal. And he talked about how earlier in the game, a lot of his first touches were not coming off. They were like too heavy, and the ball was because of the I think the pitch and the rain and whatever. He wasn't controlling the ball the way he liked to, and so in that moment he was just like, "Yeah, I need to take this first time." So he hits it first time inside of his left foot and drives it to the bottom corner, and it just finds his way into the side netting, passing outstretched Callum Irving, and it's 2-1 in the 91st minute. And again, for Vancouver FC fans, it was like, well, the point is not going to be earned. It does not look like it's going to be earned today.
No, it's one of those things. You've fought valiantly, you've got yourself back level, and you're like, well, we're going to somehow get out of this, and then just stung in stoppage time. But again, going back to what we were just saying, this shows the resilience of this team. Like, they could easily have been like, there we go, we've lost another late goal. Everyone seems so like exasperated, and they're like, yeah, let's just go for it. Let's get the equaliser. Now they got it. I think it was a softish call, but I think it was the right call.
Yeah, talking to someone from Cavalry after the match, they felt it was a make-up call. Talking to someone from Vancouver FC, they thought it was clearly a penalty. So you could see that.
Yes.
From
the only doubt I have is, like, if anyone hasn't seen it, Elijah Ba had, I think, definitely two, maybe three Cav defenders around him. And he knows what he's doing because the ball's gone from him. So he's trying to get his way through. And there was no way he was ever going to get through that.
Well,
but then there's contact, and he's then sent to the ground.
Klomp has his arms around him, and then Baldissimo comes and kind of runs into him.
Yeah. So I think it's Baldissio's bump that sends him to the ground, and that's what it's given for.
Yeah, but Frazier was the other guy there.
Yeah. So there was three players around him. Yeah. I mean, I think it was a fair call. Now, Elijah makes the most of it, but yeah.
But that's the thing is, Elijah has not been given tons of call this year because
he goes down.
Yeah, because you might say sometimes he goes to ground easy, but yeah. So was it a makeup call for the horrible sending off? Maybe. Was it a soft penalty? Maybe. Was it the right call in the penalty? Maybe. To me, to me, when you're evaluating the official, this call, whether you think it's right or wrong or a makeup or whatever, doesn't excuse the sending off, in my opinion. I know you and I will disagree on that, and that's okay, but it's
that's football. It's all about opinions. Every asshole has one.
The sending off was shocking to me. The one thing I will say, as soon as Ba wins a penalty, Ba, by the way, you might not have seen this, but Ba was
I did see.
Oh, pregame he was announced as the Fanatics Player of the Year, which is well deserved and well earned. So kudos to him for that. A great season for him. A breakout season. And but as soon as he's fouled, which you might not have seen this on the broadcast.
I only saw the highlights. So
So as soon as the foul happens, David Norman grabs the ball. And he's like,
because I was surprised he was taking it.
I was like, I'm taking this penalty. Now, to be fair, I think he's
in his last game for Vancouver FC.
Is he?
We'll talk about that when we do our end of season review. I don't see him back, but
I could see him back. But no, he takes the ball, and yeah, he scored at least 2 penalties this year in shootouts already. At least 2 that I can think of, and he scored another 1 or 2 goals in the season as well. So. I was confident when he took the ball. Callum, after the game in the post match, said, "Oh yeah," he's like, as soon as I saw David had the ball, I knew we were going to equalize. So I was like, "Okay, great." Because I asked him, like, "Yeah, you faced David lots. Like, how confident were you?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I was no questions. Like, I knew it was going to go in." And
Marco made a good attempt to get to it. He knew where he was going.
He made a good attempt to get it, but
so much power. It's like,
but that's the other thing is though, it wasn't just the power. Although I agree with you, the power really helped. He didn't put it in the side netting. He put it a little bit more century. So as Marco's diving, it's kind of going past him here. So he's stretching out with his hands.
No.
Yeah, it's kind of like going over his elbow or the midsection or whatever, over his torso. But huge goal for David. huge goal for the club to get the point that they needed to avoid that disgrace. And yeah, obviously you and I have a lot of time for David, and I was extremely happy for him.
No, it was nice that he got it. And yeah, that rounded off the weekend's action, which somehow we spent longer talking about than I thought we were going to do, as we always do in these shows. But what that then set up was the playoffs to come. So there's a play-in game, we'll come to that in a sec, but preliminary final on Sunday, 11 o'clock kickoff Pacific time. First place Forge, take on second place Atletico. And again, for anyone listening that's not familiar with the CPL playoff format, the top two play off, the winner goes automatically to the championship game, and then the loser then plays a game against the third place play-in winner, and they're at home for that the following week. So Forge, Atletico in Hamilton. I mean, it's hard to see past Forge for that one, surely.
Yeah. Like we talked about earlier, I think most people are pulling for the non-Diego Mejia team.
So that's Cavalry on Sunday at 3 o'clock Pacific time. And then we're going to take on the winner of the Halifax Wanderers York United game. So that took place on Wednesday afternoon. And a very eventful match. Now, I've got to say, for a large chunk of this game, it wasn't the most exciting game. I messaged Zach saying, this feels like it's going to be 0-0 and both teams are going to try and hold on for penalties, or maybe one team will sneak the 1-0 win. But there was a few things that changed things up in that regard. And the match actually finished 2-2 after extra time. Then it did go to penalties. But, I mean, if you were looking for late drama in games and halves, this was the game for it. Halifax took the lead a minute into first half stoppage time. Thiago Coimbra putting the Halifax side ahead, and it was no less than the home team deserved. And it looked like, for all intents and purposes, they were going to get through. They were going to be facing Cavalry in their playoff game on Sunday. But Julian Altobelli, one of the standout players for York United this year, had other ideas. Equalised with 4 minutes of the second half remaining. Led to an interesting, maybe interesting is not the best word to use, but led to an unfortunate incident where a fan faked that he was going to either hit one of the York players or throw his beer can at him, and it led to a little bit of an altercation on the sideline. The fan, I believe, was kicked out, but all that did, I'm sure, was light a fire under York. But then it went into extra time, and it was a little bit nervy, a little bit cagey. Both sides knew what was at stake. But in the 114th minute, Jeremy Gagnon-Lapierre got what I think everyone probably thought was going to be the winning goal, put Halifax 2-1 up with 6 minutes to go. But again, York just never knew when to lie down. They never quit, and they tied it up once again in the 118th minute. Shan Hundle getting that goal 2 minutes from time. It sent the game to penalties, and it was more drama in the shootout as well. There were saves, there were misses. It went 6 rounds before Halifax's extra time hero, Jeremy Gagnon-Lapierre, missed the Wanderers' 6th spot kick. York went through 5-4 on penalties, and it will be them now that face off against Cavalry at Spruce Meadows on Sunday afternoon, looking for a match-up with whoever then loses the Forge Atletico Ottawa game. Hopefully Atletico Ottawa. So, I mean, I think we could be looking at another Forge Cavalry final, but we'll see how all that plays out. A lot of excitement, and I'm pretty sure these 2 playoff games on Sunday will also be full of excitement. You can catch that action on TSN and One Soccer. But that is it for this part, but it's not it for the CPL chat, as we're going to bring you a big feature interview next with one of the star performers for Forge, not just this season, but in every season for them since 2019. He's won a trophy every year with the Hamilton side is this year that he and Forge are going to do the double. Well, we sit down with Forge's Alexander Achinioti-Jönsson to talk about all of that and a few other things as well. And we'll be back chatting to Alex after this episode's Britpop song.
Hi, I'm Tristan Borges, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show, and kicking off this part, it's this episode's Britpop song, and a band from Malvern in England. They're called Blessed Ethel, and that was a single that they released late October 1995. It was a 3-track single and their 5th release overall, and that was the lead track from the single, Fat Star. And we'll be back with some more Britpop songs in the next episode. But in the final part of this show, we're going to keep the CPL chat going, and we're going to bring you our second feature interview on the show. And this is our longer one of the two. We heard from Jayden Nelson in part 1. This is our big sit-down feature interview to bring you this episode. And it's with a man that's had a very successful time in Canada since making the move from Sweden in 2019. 29-year-old centre-back Alexander Achinioti-Jönsson. He came over to play for Forge in that inaugural CPL season, having come through the Helsingborg's system at youth level and then in the senior ranks over in Sweden, and a couple of caps for the Swedish under-19 side as well, but made the move to the CPL, took the gamble to come here to play for Forge in Hamilton that first CPL season, and really hasn't looked back since. He's won 3 regular season titles with Forge, the latest of which just coming this past weekend. 4 North Star Cups as well in 2019, 2020, 2022 and 2023. In fact, not one of the 7 CPL seasons has gone by without Alex actually picking up some silverware either during the regular season or at the end of the playoffs on an individual basis as well. Although a midfielder, I think we can kind of look at him now as being a centre-back. He did win the CPL Defender of the Year back in 2022. Could be in the mix again to win it this year as well. But got a chance to sit down with Alex this week just to chat about his time in Forge, the legacy that the Hamilton side have left, the non-stop trophies that he's won as well, and just about his own footballing journey from Sweden to Canada. Now, we did the chat whilst he was driving home from training on Tuesday, so he's done it from his car, so the audio, it comes and goes just a little bit, but still good enough quality, so hopefully you'll enjoy it. So go stick the kettle on, grab your biscuit of choice, and enjoy our first ever chat on the show with Forge defender Alexander Achinioti-Jönsson. So, welcome to the show for the first time, Alex. It's been another fantastic season for the club and for you individually.
Yeah, thank you. No, we've had a fantastic year, and we're really happy to get this the regular season championship, and now we're aiming for the second one.
7 seasons at the club, 7 trophies. I'm sure it never gets old, does it?
No, it really does not. You know, it's when you think of it, it's every year it's a new iteration, right? And you get work for something for 10 months, and then it all comes down. Like now, it came down to the last game where we need a win. And it's 10 months of hard work that's getting paid off. So it's a special feeling for sure, and it's not something we take for granted either. It's something we know each trophy you win might be the last trophy you win, right? So enjoy it, and when you know the feeling as well, you really want to go and get more.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, that there's some players go through their whole career and they never win a single trophy. And now, for you, for Forge, 3 CPL Shields, back-to-back, with 2 of them, 4 North Star Cups. You've never won the double. Is this the year that we're going to see the double?
Well, I can't see into the future, but that is, of course, our big goal. When we set up our goals for the season, was that we wanted to obviously win the regular season, but also the cup was a big goal for us this year. And I think we ourselves down a little bit in a second game in Vancouver there. But all in all, it's the second year in a row where we've knocked out MLS teams and then fallen short in the second game of a two-legged semi-final, which I'm really proud of the guys. So what we did this year as well with the unbeaten streak and everything, So now that we got, like I said, 1 down and the cup is obviously gone, we've just got the aim left on the North Star Cup.
Yeah, that Canadian Championship game against the Whitecaps. Now, obviously, I'm biased because I'm here in Vancouver and I cover the Whitecaps, but I've watched enough of Forge to know that performance in the second leg was not a fair reflection of what Forge can be. Was it just that on the day, the Whitecaps, with the extra little bit of quality, just turned the pressure up and getting the early goals, it made it really difficult for you?
Yeah, I think we collectively had a bit of an off day. Like you're in on there. We haven't had a lot of those this year, and like I said earlier, when we've shown that we're good against the Whitecaps in the first game there, when we tie, and then against Montreal, we show we can get it done as well, both home and away. So I think it was a rough day, and of course very disappointing. But like I said, I'm still proud of what we accomplished to get to that point. And Vancouver this year are also an amazing team. They've been really good and playing some really good football. You can just tell how they're doing in the MLS. They're one of the best teams on this side of the world right now. So, I mean, while it's disappointing, you also have to acknowledge there's a very, very high quality team we played against.
Yeah, and I mean, you showed in the first leg that you could certainly compete. And I mean, that unbeaten run that the team was on, 24 games in all competitions, 20 in the CPL. It was an incredible thing to watch play out. I spoke to Tristan just a little bit after it had ended, and I asked him this as well, but the more that it goes on, the more you want to get it. But does the pressure build a little bit more as well? And then you start to think, I can't make a mistake here because we want to keep going undefeated.
No, I didn't have that feeling, and it didn't feel like the other guys had that feeling either. I feel like we were just gelling so well. We had faith in each other, and we were calm even when we conceded goals and we went down. We had belief in the way we played and that we would score goals as well. And I think that's where we've been very good. Been good this year. When things have gone not our way, we stay composed and keep doing our thing. And I think we've gotten a lot of payoff from that. Just not panicking and start doing things that are uncharacteristic, which is easy when you go down a goal or two, right? But I haven't seen that with this team we have this year. Everyone stays composed, and we're kind of working, joined for the same goal. And cohesiveness of the team, I think it's been really, really good. The group is great this year, both on and off the field. So I think that plays a big part of it.
Because of Forge's success, it's like I think a lot of people in recent years they've kind of been rooting against you because they want different teams to win it, either because it's their team or they just want some change. But I've seen, and we've talked about this on our show, I've seen a little bit of a change this year in that I think because it's been down to yourself in Ottawa, there's some really good rivalry there between the two of you, obviously two Ontario sides. But I think some of the other stuff that's gone with Ottawa off the pitch, some of the comments that's maybe been made, I think you're starting to win people over and folk are actually wanting you to go and do the double now.
I mean, I think what we've always had a kind of a philosophy at this club from year one is that we let our football speak for us. And I don't like talking about other teams, and I don't think anyone on our team do it either. We always focus on what we want to do and our joint goals, and we kind of keep that within our walls, and I think that's just where we've been good as well. We stay calm, collected. Like I said, we have believe in our group and everything, and we know we have Bobby's and the whole coaching staff's their trust, and we trust them with what they come up with the tactics as well. So I think we're just internally working very hard and like letting that show on the field, and everything else we just kind of take it as it comes.
That's the best way to do it. And I mean, talking of Bobby, I've got to know him a little bit over the years. Haven't talked to him as much as I'd love to. I'd love to sit down and just have a really long chat with him one day. But he seems such a good coach. What's he been like as the coach of this team these past 7 years?
Well, I think I've also seen him develop as a coach a bit from first year. Obviously, I think that was his first year as a pro coach till now. He's improved a lot when it comes to just managing the team. I think you can see with the depth we have in the team, and we have players that haven't been playing maybe as much coming in performing. I think this year we had the most goal scorers we've ever had on our team. I think 17 different guys scored for us this year, which is almost the full squad, which is amazing, I think, and that just shows the consistency of the coaches working with the players. And obviously tactically, I don't think there's any question to it that everyone knows what Bobby can do when it comes to that stuff. But I think it's keeping everyone engaged and everyone is involved and like in the team. There's no one left on the outside or no one being neglected. I think everyone is given their shots. Some get more shots than others, but that's also just the way the sport is, right? Like, not everyone can play, but when everyone get called upon, I think everyone has answered the call this year, and that comes down to coaching as well, right?
Absolutely, and I tell you, I see a lot of similarities between Forge with Bobby, the Whitecaps here with Jesper Sorensen, just the calmness on the sidelines, but the intensity, and as you say, using the squad, which the Whitecaps have done here. Like, they've had 20 different scorers, which is a record in MLS. It definitely feels like Whitecaps Forge, they're the two best teams in Canada at the moment. Now, you come from a country like me, where there's promotion and relegation. Does it nag at you a little bit that you can't get that opportunity to go up a league and test yourself regularly against MLS teams?
A bit, yes, but I guess these are different entities. We've at least gotten to prove it in the Cup every year.
Yeah.
Like I said, we've had successful runs against MLS teams, and luckily we in Forge, because of our hard work, also had the privilege to play first in CONCACAF Cup the first couple of years, and now in Champions Cup, where you get to play these bigger teams on the continent and really kind of see where you're at compared to the other top leagues, which is obviously a very high level. But I think it's good for the development of the league. I think it's just been taking steps every year, and even this year, because of the Whitecaps' success, I think we're going to have 3 CPL teams in Champions Cup.
Yeah, I know, it's tremendous.
Which is amazing for the league. I think it's good with it brings interest from other players to this league as well, because you get an opportunity to do stuff that, well, a lot of MLS teams don't get to, and USL teams never get the chance to do, or anything like that. I think that's a great kind of incentive to also come and play here. You get these big games, and in a league that's growing, and you get the cup games where you can play against MLS teams as well. I think that's just been growing with every year, and you see the quality of players that are coming into the league is getting higher as well. So I think it's great.
Let's talk a little bit about you and your own journey. Like, why the CPL? Why Canada? How did this all come about?
Quite a long story, actually, but I guess it all started back in 2018. In the fall, I was playing in Sweden in second tier. I think I was 21, 22 years old. And my agent brought it up. They had the contacts through Bobby and Costa, and at that point, I wasn't really kind of considering it at all, because I was trying to take my step. I played in the first tier a bit, my first 3 years and 2 years in second tier, so I wanted to take the step back into the first tier again.
Yeah.
But then the end of the year, I broke off my contract with the club I played for. I had an offer from the first year in Sweden, and then here from Canada as well. And at that point, I'd played 5 years professionally already, and I wanted to try something new. I wanted to get out of Sweden a bit, because playing for a significant amount of time somewhere, now it sounds a little funny because I've played here for so long, but you get used to the coaches, the teams, the players are kind of moving around between teams. So I wanted to, experience a new market, new teams, prove myself somewhere else. And that was kind of where the decision came from. It was like a big adventure and proving myself in a different country, and kind of stepping out of my comfort zone. I didn't think it'd be as long as it did, but I mean, I've been very grateful for every year I've been here, and I'm very happy that I made the decision that I made 7 years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say to you, it's like you've come and you've never left, and now, like, you're the first player to get over 200 appearances in the league. I mean, you must love it here, although I do imagine Hamilton is very different to Sweden.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a, what do you call it, a culture shock.
Yeah.
That came up first. Yeah, no, I still remember those that first month here. I basically only saw the highways and parking lots and like the training ground we were at. So I was a little bit questioning myself when that was happening. But then we went away on training camp with a bit better weather, and then we came back, and it was leading up to the season, and that doubt disappeared very fast, I think, and I've never really looked back or questioned my decision since. So I've had a great time here. I have a great time here still. So I'm just happy I made the decision.
Yeah, it should have come to BC. It's Scandinavian-esque in bits over here, but I mean, at least you went in Winnipeg, which would have been a bigger culture shock, I think, for you.
No, I think so too.
I mean, when did you kind of fall in love with the game? Because Sweden's a big football country. When I think of Swedish football, I think Henrik Larsson, because he spent so long playing it in Scotland, for one thing. But like, when did you fall in love with the game, and when did you know that you had what it took to be a professional footballer?
Well, it's funny you mentioned Henrik, because we're actually from the same town. So he's
oh wow.
Yeah, he's from Helsingborg, so that's where he started his career, and that's where he came back after he left Barcelona. I think he went straight back to Helsingborg. But yeah, no, I've been playing since I think I went with my brother to his training. My bigger brother is 3 years older than me from I was 3 years old, and I think I've loved it since. I was just kicking around the ball. I was considerably smaller than everyone else, but I was just trying to kick the ball, kind of like I do now, just run headfirst into challenges and then fall, get up, and then get at it again. And I think it's been, my whole childhood basically was always something I loved doing and something I wanted to do. As to when I realized if I could play professional or not, it's tough to answer. I don't know. I always had belief in me. I think it's support from my dad and my mom as well that did a lot of it growing up. Like my dad always helped me a lot and was always there for me, supporting me, and then was always honest with me as well, which I think helped a lot. And when I was 15, 16, I had the chance to go to the academy in Helsingborg. And before that, I played in a lower tier team, like maybe at the time, I don't know, it was 6th tier maybe in Sweden or something like that. But it was like men's football, so I started playing men's football when I was like 15, 16. So I think I hardened pretty early there. So when I went into the Helsingborg Academy, I went in with more physicality, and I guess I'd grown up a little bit more than people that just played academy up until that point. And then from there, really, it went really fast. I just spent a year and a half in the academy before I got moved up to the first team when I was 17 something, about to turn 18. So there was really no time to think about it. It went very fast.
Yeah, and I was reading back in 2015 you had the health scare with the heart issue, which obviously must have been a very worrying time just for life in general. But I mean, I take it since then everything's been good in that regard.
Yeah, I think I've been very always kind of take it for what it is kind of thing, and I kind of assumed it was nothing bad because nothing really came from it. It was just the one game and where I couldn't really catch my breath and my pulse wouldn't go down after the game, but that's never happened before or after. It was almost like a mini panic attack maybe, something like that, where like it just wouldn't go down, you know. So we did all the stuff you need to do to check the heart afterwards and found nothing at all. So I think it's just unlucky, basically.
Yeah.
No, regarding my health, I think I've been lucky as well with no, knock on wood, major injuries.
Yeah, you've been really good with that.
Which also, you know, does a lot when you don't have those things where you go for months without playing and you have to just fight to get back. I've been lucky in that way, at least this far.
So, like, when you came to Forge, like, you were down as a midfielder, you're still down as a midfielder, and then you won Defender of the Year in 2022. Then this season, and other seasons, you've played a lot as a centre-back. Is that what you consider your role to be now?
I honestly don't really know. Like, the only thing with stepping back into midfield is sometimes it takes a little bit more to get into it because obviously there's a little bit more pressure and you got to be quicker on the ball on this. But I'm still comfortable in both positions, and I think it's good. It's a good versatility to have. I think Bobby can use it a lot in his tactical adjustments. You can switch up in the middle of the game without doing substitutes and stuff. So I think it's a valuable skill set to be able to play several positions. And I think now that I've properly learned to play center back as well, it's come more natural for me. In the beginning, it was a bit. I wasn't really used to the way you're stepping. It's a bit different from midfield. Obviously, you got no one covering from behind, and you can't really go into the duels the same way in midfield as you do in midfield when you're center back. So I think I've kind of gotten better at both positions by playing center back as well, if that makes any sense.
Oh no, totally. Because it's like, I know I speak to a lot of centre-backs over the years, and so many of them are like forwards that are frustrated and they ended up being centre-backs. And like even here just now, we've got Ralph Priso that's had to convert to centre-back, and they've all said it is difficult to go from position to position. But I mean, you've had an excellent season, and you don't need to comment on this, but I mean, I think you'll be in running for the Defender of the Year again this year as well. Which brings me to the last question, which is the playoffs to come. You've got one trophy in the bag. I know how much everyone would love to do the double. This is a team that's created one hell of a legacy in Canadian football. I think before this, the only other teams were maybe a little bit of a spell with Toronto in the MLS, and then way back in the very old CSL, the Vancouver 86ers had 4 straight championships. But this team's been something else. Just the legacy that this team has, how much does that mean to you to be a part of all this?
Obviously, a lot. Like I said before, you put down a lot of energy and a lot of time into getting to this point where you are in a position to win trophies. And I think growth from higher up in the club, there's been a what do you call it, like a straight line down the line that this is what is expected from us, and this is how we're going to get there. And I think they've kind of hit the nail on the head almost every year with that, because I think we've been first or second in the regular season every year. We've made every final this far, and that consistency is really, really hard to find. And I think the core players we've had have played a big role into that as well, because you get new players in, like you see Dan Nimick, who's this year, who's actually, I think, should win Defender of the Year, because he's been fantastic for us. Him come in is already a good player in the league and everything, but you kind of integrate them because you have this core that is strong with the players like me, Bex, David Chouanier, Tristan. That kind of, I don't know, like you kind of push the culture on them, I guess, a bit, and like make them realize why we are where we are in like the day-to-day work. You know, Bex ever being lazy or like not doing his workouts or anything. Usually the older players, longer players are the ones that kind of push the envelope for the team. And I think when the younger guys see that, when new guys see that, they know that they also got to step up to that level, because they know that we've done it before and this is what it takes to do it. And they want to be a part of that, and that's the way you kind of get them into it as well, which I think everyone, especially this year, has really bought into that whole concept of playing your role, working hard, and just being there for your team.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today. Good luck for the playoffs to come, and good luck in the Champions Cup next year as well, because the team's getting closer, and I think that could be the year that you finally get the breakthrough.
Yeah, no, thank you. Really appreciate it.
Awesome.
It's good talking to you.
Thanks to Alex for joining us for that chat. Really enjoyed it. A couple of chats I've had with the Forge players this year. We had Tristan Borges on the show just before that Canadian Championship second leg. Alex there. Great guys to chat to. Great football to watch. And as we kind of touched upon there, and kind of in the last part with Zach as well, for me, I just want Forge to go and do the double now. Unless Cavalry can maybe sneak through to the final and pull off the shock. Anyone right now, apart from Atletico Ottawa, and I'll be a happy man at the end of that, for all the reasons that we talked about last part. But yeah, Achinioti-Jönsson is just one of a number of key players that's been with Bobby Smirniota, has been with Forge since the start of 2019. And as each season's gone on, they've added extra players, they've sprinkled that in, they've got better and better, and they are a force to be reckoned with. And it really is a shame that there isn't a pro-rel system in North America. I would love to see what Forge could do, moving up, say, to the MLS. They would need a lot more investment, obviously. They would need a lot more money spent on the team when you look at the disparity of the rosters and the roster build and the salary cap between the MLS teams and the CPL. But, I mean, the other argument is, yeah, if you're going off in one-off games or two-legged games when it's a CPL and an MLS side, you've always got a chance, but can you sustain that over the course of the season? I do feel there's a number of players on that Forge team this year, previous years, that could have made the move up to MLS teams. Also believe that Bobby Smirniota deserves a chance to be at the higher level than the CPL as well. But, I mean, he seems very happy where he is. And they've still got a couple of things they want to achieve. They want to win a Canadian Championship, lift their first Voyageurs Cup. They want to have some success in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, and they're going to get another chance to do that in 2026. And most of all, I'm sure, the first pressing priority is to be the first CPL side to do the double, win the regular season, win the postseason, lift both trophies over the year, and tell you, be a brave person to bet against them doing that right now. But that's pretty much it for the football chat. But as always, we will finish with this episode's wavelength, the section of the show where we play a song all about football or with a backdrop to football. And I guess this song that we're going to play for this one more falls into the second category. It's not a song specifically written about football, but it is a song that has been adopted by football fans and is sung by football fans as if it is a football song, although there is an element behind the meaning of the song as well. So the song in question is from 2002 from Swedish band Perkele, and I've been saving this for a while to play in the show, but I thought since we've had a Swedish player on, this seems the ideal time to do it. It's from Perkele's 2002 album No Shame, and it's a song just about their love for Sweden, and it's been adopted by fans of the Swedish national team, and also a little bit more bizarre in one sense but not in the other. It's also been adopted by fans of English Championship side Oxford United. It's sung regularly at Oxford United games. The reason for that is Oxford United play in yellow and blue, and this song is Perkele, Yellow and Blue.
Colours are my heart, and it's always made for you.
from 2002, Swedish band Perkala, Yellow and Blue. And that's one of those songs that is very much an earworm. I've been singing it all week because I knew we were going to be having it in the show, and yeah, hopefully it sticks in your head as well. But that is it for this episode of the AFTN Soccer Show. We'll be back with another one after the Whitecaps' first game of the 2025 playoffs. Can they get the revenge against FC Dallas? Can the redemption arc begin? Well, we'll find out in a couple of days, as will the 30,000 plus fans in attendance at BC Place. Should be a cracker. Any final thoughts from you, Zach, for this one?
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to my buddy Joel Murphy. Joel's been down in Uruguay as a part of the IFCPF Copa America tournament. So that's the cerebral palsy football side representing our wonderful nation of Canada. I believe he played in all the matches, and I don't remember him coming off.
Nice.
Although I didn't get to see a couple of them, but played left back for them. They got out of their group stage, got out of the group by beating Chile in the group stage, and then ended up losing in this semifinal, and then came fourth, lost the third place game. But a huge experience, and just
great experience.
Messaging with him a bit, he said for the team, it's a huge boost and a huge deal to get out of the group and to achieve what they did.
And that's another program, as we've talked about, that the investment's just not been there for them.
Yeah.
And it needs to be. And I know everyone's wanting money, but that's what annoys me so much when it's like, oh, we want paid more, or we want this. It's like, this money is finite and it needs to go to all these programs, not just the top level. You've got to, if you're a proper confederation or federation, it's got to be everything, down to the likes of the cerebral palsy team.
Totally. I don't know if I put this out, but I think it was in the victory over Chile, they have a guy who has like 50 plus goals for the side. And that's one thing about Joel. Joel's like 18. So he's like this young guy coming through. But there's this guy who has like 50 to 60 goals for Canada, and he scored a brace against Chile. And one of the goals is like a non-traditional back heel. Often when we talk about back heel goals, you think of the cross coming in, the guy flicking it behind him. This was more like, I think it was a rebound or a ball. It kind of come up and his back was the goal, and he just chose to back heel it and found its way into the back of that. And then he scored later, I think, in that game, which I think was the winner. And his name is it Sharon, I think. But anyways, you can find them you can find if you look on like Instagram, IFCPF, you can find some of the links to them. And you'll also see there's a whole bunch of, each country had some of their past great players sending out messages to the teams and stuff. It was kind of really cool to see that.
Is it full-sized pitch?
No, it looked a little bit smaller.
Yeah, because I've seen some of the Scotland cerebral palsy team years ago, and I was thinking that, I was like, I'm sure it was a smaller pitch, but wasn't 100% sure. That would make more sense. One of my friends, good friends in Scotland, Ian Matthew, played for Scotland amputee team, and it's just fantastic that there's a chance for these players to play in these national teams. So yeah, well done to Joel. It's a nice little story to end on this one. That is it for another show. Depending when you're listening to this, you can get out to Thunderbird Stadium on Friday. It's quarter-final and semi-final time for the men in the Canada West playoffs. The women as well, quarter-final on Saturday. The men's semi-final will be on Sunday with the two quarterfinals on Friday. And of course, next time we're back, we'll be talking about the Whitecaps' first playoff game of the year, taking on FC Dallas at BC Place on Sunday. Until next time, as always, thanks for listening. Take care. And mon the Caps.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.
AFTN